And we are here. It's week 3 of the Texas high school football season. Thank you guys for joining us here on Cover 1. I'm your host, Matt Trammell. Going to bring in my co-hosts here, James Bellini and Ryan Chadwick. James, we'll start to you. Looks like your background there is filling up with some cool merch.
Giving us stuff, you got to buy some other stuff, but hey, it's filling up. It's looking good. I'm happy with it.
Chadwick, so been a short week of no football this week. We had Labor Day weekend, but looks like we're back, ready for some football.
Yeah, not only did the college football season start last weekend, NFL started last night, and now we got week 3 of high school football. It's just such a great time to be alive again.
Exactly. Well, we're going to be getting to a bunch of games tonight, including Central. They have Abilene Cooper tonight. Wall Jim Ned, big game right there, and a few more. But before we get into all these games, here's a quick message from Jim Bass, Cars and Trucks. All right.
Save big on our great selection of trucks during our demo sale at Jim Bass Ford. Like the Ford F-150, with an available 360-degree camera package that helps you spot obstacles. And with Sync 4 technology, designed to listen and respond. And we're here to keep your F-150 at peak performance with expert service after the sale. It's time to drive a Ford F-150 XLT and get $11,000 in total savings. For this great offer, visit Jim Bass.
All right, now let's get into some of the games tonight. I know the game that everyone has been looking forward to, of course, is the San Angelo Central Bobcats taking on Abilene Cooper. Chadwick's got everything we need for this game. Chadwick, tell me about it.
So first off, it's homecoming night for Central tonight, and you know when it's homecoming, you always want to bring home that victory. This game, it's just a game between two old rivals. There's a lot of history between these two programs. They played last year at Shotwell in Abilene, and of course that game went to overtime. Central ended up losing that one 34-28, so they're definitely looking for some revenge this year.
All right, Chadwick. Cooper's kind of hard to get a read on this year. They've played two incredibly good teams. How do you think this one's going to shake out for them? I mean, do you think Cooper is a better team than their record gives them credit for at this point?
Yeah, I 100% believe they are a better team than the record gives them credit for, because the first 2 games of the season, they did play 2 talented squads. They went up to Keller, and then they played Abilene High at Shotwell and Abilene. And of course, we saw what Abilene High did to Permian in week 1. That 45-7 thumping was an eye-opener for everybody. But Keller also always brings a good squad to the table. They always go multiple rounds deep in the playoffs, and that hasn't changed this year. It looks like they're also pretty good. So while those losses were kind of lopsided, I don't think it's indicative to how good Abilene Cooper is. It just shows how good Abilene High and Keller are, right? Of course, Abilene High, they sport a very talented defense. That's their bread and butter this season. They already have a guy who's committed to play D1 football on the D-line. Really good size, like 6'3", 240 plus pounds, and then they got one of their linebackers getting looked at by a couple of D1 schools as well. So of course this game's going to be, can Central's offense score points on that defense? Not saying that Abilene Cooper isn't good on the offense side of the ball, and we know how young the Bobcats are on defense, but it's going to come down to Central's offense versus Abilene Cooper's defense.
All right, Chadwick, give me a location and time for this one.
So it's going to be tonight at San Angelo Stadium. Kickoff is scheduled for 7 p.m. And let's see if the Bobcats can not only bring home a homecoming victory, but get to 2-1 on the season.
All right, there you go. Ryan Chadwick telling you about the Central Bobcat game tonight. And, of course, our coverage for the Central Bobcats this year is presented by Angelo Bolt. And opened in 1994, Angelo Bolt Industrial Supply has served the Concho Valley for 29 years and counting. Angelo Bolt is the go-to place for fasteners, power tools, air compressors, safety equipment, and everything in between. Chances are Angelo Bolt will have everything you need when you need it, and in the rare chance that they don't have that odd fastener or special part you're looking for, then they'll find it fast. No request is too big or too small at Angelo Bolt at 808 Warehouse Road, where customer service is their top priority. Thank you, Angelo Bolt, for bringing us Ryan Chadwick and the crew at the Central Bobcat game tonight. Moving on, James, we're going to go to you, going to be talking about a good competition out there in Brady, going to be between the Brady Bulldogs and Coleman. So, James, tell us everything we need to know for the game tonight.
This is the last game in the Gauntlet that Brady had on their schedule. First they played Comanche, who's a very good team. Then they played Mason, another very good team. Now Coleman, who is, of course, another good team. They made a couple rounds deep last year in the playoffs. And they just have a talented squad all the way around. I remember last year looking at it, just at their entire athletics. It was, we were trying to think, are they one of the better teams, just better programs in the state at this point? Or certainly West Texas they were. But anyway, back to Brady. Last week their quarterback kind of showed his youth. He's a sophomore and he's kind of a gunslinger. He slung it around and threw a few picks. But that first drive Brady had, they were awesome. They marched down the field. They scored first. They drew first blood on Mason, which isn't easy to do. Mason's a very good football team. But then, he threw an interception on their next drive. But it was just a fantastic play. Mason just I think he went up over the receiver and took the ball. Very good play. And then things started to just fall apart. And it's kind of a sloppy game, too. I believe, even Mason's coach said it was kind of they had to clean some things up. Just Mason did. And then Brady, of course, had, a few interceptions. It was just kind of a rough game. This week, though, they're looking to, get back at it and right the ship.
Now, James, I like to make this comparison. It was something I was thinking about earlier this week. Whenever you're setting up a non-district schedule, of course, you don't want to, like some coaches believe in lining up cupcake games to build confidence for your team, and other ones are like, no, we're going to throw you into the fire and see what comes out. A good comparison I thought of was last year's Midland Legacy team. Like, I'm pretty sure they went 2-3 in non-district, playing San Antonio and Dallas schools, but then just completely rolled over a bunch of the schools in 2-6A. So, in your opinion, how do you keep the guys' heads up? Because the games that you're going into, how good these teams are, and what it's going to take to beat them. So even if that's not exactly viable right now, what are you trying to get out of this at this point?
At this point, it's iron sharpens iron. There's a coach. I've worked for him for a little bit. Everybody knows him out at Miles, as Coach Butts. I filmed his basketball. He does not care about his record. He's probably around 500 because he plays all those 5A schools, and that's what he believes is, hey, iron sharpens iron. That's the same thing we have going on here. These teams are just going to make you better. And obviously, and you're a good program. Brady is a good program. I don't want people thinking that, we're hating on Brady. We're not. They have a very good team. They have very good football players. Yes, their quarterback is young. Yes, they have a guy coming off an ACL. But it doesn't matter. At this point, their head should be up because they're competing with these good schools. And you also have a new coach. Don't take anything, to heart. Just take the good things you do in these games and try to build on those. Because you're going to get a couple games coming up where you're going to be winning them. And look at last year. Last year they were 0-3 last year at this point in the season. Then they won some games. They even made the playoffs. And they returned those talented players. So Brady's going to be fine with whatever they want to do. Just it's going to come. Their offense is going to come along, and their quarterback's going to, he's a sophomore. Like I said, he's young, but he's going to be great. They're gonna work out all the kinks. It's just hard to do when you've built this insane schedule that you've got.
So what's the benchmark against Coleman tonight? Because we know the Blue Cats are good. They played Mason. They almost beat Mason, and this is the team that Brady just played. What do you think that Coach Roberts wants to see out of his team?
I think he just wants them to play good. That's obviously what they want. Just play within yourself. Don't try to get caught up in this schedule gauntlet that you have. Play within your means, and obviously you need to be healthy. Last week, Menifeld got kind of dinged up. Just be healthy, come out of this, and you'll be fine.
James, where should fans expect this game to take place and when? Sorry.
This game is going to be played in Brady, and it's going to be at 7 o'clock tonight.
All right, perfect. And, of course, all of our Brady coverage this year is brought to you by Destination Ford of Brady. Make sure you go out there. But first, here is Mark Smith with the Redneck Deal of the Week.
It's the F-150s, all the brand new F-150s we have in stock. 23 models have $2,000 rebates and 1.9% financing for 36 months and up to 5.9% for up to 72 months with approved credit. So, and if you mention this ad, that you saw this ad on San Angelo Live, get another $1,000 off any F-150 that you purchase. So that's a great deal right now with the interest rates the way they are, Matt.
And of course, Mark, what makes these F-150s so cool?
We've got a bunch of 4x4s. We do have everything from a King Ranch down to an STX. So we've got a great selection, over 20 of them in stock right now.
And before I let you go, let me hear a good one from you. Let's go Bulldogs.
Go Brady Bulldogs.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. Guys, go down to Brady to the Destination Ford. They're going to have a great deal this week. Of course, you can get thousands off one of those F-150s, so go do it now. Moving on to our next game, it's going to be a good one. Miles in Water Valley. Miles is coming off of a rough week where they lost to their rival Sterling City, but it's looking like they're going to bounce back against the Wildcats. There's a lot of keys to this game. Miles is coming in off that loss where they're really been practicing all week with a fire in their belly, and they're looking ready to go. If you're looking at Water Valley, they're ready to take advantage of a team that the Miles team that they saw a lot of flaws in last week when running the ball. So Water Valley looks to be running the ball heavy. Miles, of course, loves to throw the ball, so it could be a high-scoring ball game. But if you're Water Valley and you want to win this thing, you better be hoping for lower scores.
And Matt, it's looking like that Miles, like Achilles heel, is Sterling City style of play, right? And like that's kind of what Water Valley does. They pound the rock. They like controlling the line of scrimmage. They like sealing off the edge and then just letting their running backs loose down the sideline. So what is it going to take for this Miles team, who likes to run all those plays, like to toss the ball around the yard, to actually put a stop to these ground and pound games?
Well, I'll tell you this, our Week 1 Carpet Tech Player of the Week was David Villarreano from Water Valley. Our second week, it was Haven Book from Miles. So looks like we're going to get a little bit of battle to see who's going to end up taking it out. But when we're talking about running the football, the Miles defense has to step up. They did some changes this offseason to make it where they were better against some of the run, but we didn't see that last week. We instead saw a Sterling City team that was able to power run the entire football game and win the football game. So don't mark Water Valley out of this game, even though I do believe that Miles is a strong favorite.
All right, Matt, and where's this game going to be and when?
Okay, so Miles is going to Water Valley. Kickoff's at 7:30, so should be nice and cool by then. I know the sun's going to go down at about 45 minutes afterwards, so maybe hot right when the kickoff is, but we should be ready for some good football after that. Okay, moving on, but before we do, here's a quick word from our friends at Carpet Tech.
Sounds gross.
Right now, get 15% off carpet cleaning from Carpet Tech.
All right, moving into our next game first. Thank you, Carpet Tech, of course, for always supporting Cover 1 and, of course, being our Cover 1 Player of the Week. Stay tuned later in the show where we'll reveal that. But before we do, we're going to be moving into our next, probably the most anticipated game of the week, and that would be the Wallhawks taking on the Jim Ned Indians. It is going to be a really tough, rough game. Chadwick, what should the fans expect in this one?
Well, this is definitely an old rivalry. Like in every other sport, these two are in the same district, but just because of the way the divisions are in 3A, the Jim Ned and Wall are separated here, but they're both ranked at the top 10 in their respective divisions. And this is a game that is played close every single year. Shoot, last season Wall won this one 3-0 off of a Pierce Jameson kick. And those were the only points that were able to be scored in that game. And like I was talking to Coach Guy and a lot of the players at practice this week, and we'll hear more from Coach Guy later, of course, but what he thinks is that both offenses got better like after this matchup last season. It's like these two teams had a little bit of kinks to work out, and they kind of showed each other their weaknesses on defense, like, you know what I mean? So Coach Guy says that Wall and Jim Ned are both going to score more points, and I honestly don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But like I said, like this is a rivalry that always goes down to the wire, and like if you're interested in football at all, you need to check this one out.
All right, both of these teams love to run the ball. Who do you think has the edge here? That Wall defense against that Jim Ned offense, who's healthy this year? Last year they weren't. They were kind of beat up. Or that Wall offense versus the Jim Ned defense?
Well, it really comes down to experience. Like, I will say Jim Ned revamped their offense a little bit this year. They're still going to be ground and pound, but they're just going to look a little different out there at Jim Ned. But one thing that Jim Ned has an advantage over Wall is size, right? The size of their offensive line, the size of their defensive line is just bigger than Wall this year. With that being said, Wall's much faster than Jim Ned. So it's really going to be interesting. Whoever wins that battle up front is going to win this ball game. And I've talked to some of the Wall offensive linemen too, and they're like, we don't care if they're bigger than us. We'll just take their legs out. You know what I mean? So sometimes size can act against you in that manner, but I think that this game's ultimately going to come down to the experience that Wall has on the offensive side of the ball. They know their bread and butter. They're throwing the ball better this year. Gunnar Dillard's a year older this year. He's become a fantastic option quarterback. Coach Guy does nothing but sing his praises. So I think Wall has the slight advantage in this, but Jim Ned definitely has the physicality on their side.
And, of course, make sure you come on to the halftime and post-game show if you'd like to see some of those Wall Hawk highlights. Before we move on, this next segment is brought to you by Hartman Roofing. If you want to stay in the game, of course, you can't get beat over the top. At Hartman Roofing, the proof is in the roof. From residential houses to commercial buildings, Hartman Roofing is the roofer you can trust to do it right the first time. To get a quote today, call Hartman Roofing at 325-653-2888. All right, moving on to our next game, we're gonna go to James. Kind of maybe his favorite team of the season this year, the Sonora Broncos. But they're gonna be taking on the El Dorado Eagles, who has shown that they can play a little bit of defense. So, Sonora Broncos, El Dorado Eagles. James, break it down.
All right, both these teams 2-0. So far, Sonora has beaten Ballinger, and they beat Cahoma last week by 2 touchdowns. El Dorado has beat Cristobal, and they beat Winners like 40-12. Last week they had a kickoff return. They ran the ball very well. They had over 200 yards on the ground. These are 2 good teams. It's a good rivalry game, kind of like the Jim Ned Wall game, and kind of that non-district rivalry game. They're 20 miles apart from each other, if that. That's stretching it to say 20 miles. I just made the drive this week. Sonora, of course, has a game changer on offense and defense in Edgar DeLuna. He's got 26 carries for 450 yards and 8 touchdowns. But the El Dorado team does have Tony Kamik and Isaac Soto out there on defense. They have that defense to keep Sonora in check this week.
James, I know earlier in the season, me and you were at odds when it was El Dorado versus Cristobal, and I may have picked Cristobal and you may have picked El Dorado, and all the fans were cheering for you in that one, but now it looks like you're going to double back and go for Sonora. So what does it, but you did believe in El Dorado at one point, so what does it take for El Dorado to pull away with this one?
You got to contain Edgar DeLuna. The kid's a monster. On offense and on defense, offensively you have to come up with, plays to get out of DeLuna's. Sonora has a really good defense. It's not just DeLuna. There are plenty of players. I was there at their scrimmage against Johnson City, and they were just constantly making plays in the backfield. So that offensive line is going to have to step up. They're going to have to protect Omar Barajas. They're going to have to let these offensive playmakers get out in space, and they're just going to have to play hard. That's all it takes. It's just Sonora isn't. That last week I think Cahoma played a tight game with them until Sonora ended up taking the lead. I think there were 7 lead changes, so if you're watching that game, you might have kind of a blueprint, but at the end of the day, you have to have the players and you have to have the guts to just take on Sonora there. They broke out to state champs when I was there this week. They are riding high right now.
And this is all without, star quarterback Jaime Butron. So,
I know.
James, it sounds like an exciting game. Go ahead and tell us when and where it is tonight.
All right, it's going to be 7 o'clock in El Dorado.
All right. right, so that's breaking down everything from Sonora and El Dorado, and of course we can't forget our sponsor for that game, and that's going to be Intertel. Intertel is a proud sponsor of Cover1 football coverage. Intertel has been providing cutting-edge but proven technology for homes and businesses in the Concho Valley, and just like the game of football, a great defense is important to winning. Need a security system or camera? Get a free quote today by visiting Intertel.com or calling 325-658-8375. Moving into our last game of the week, it's going to be the Bront Longhorns and the very best Falcons. Guys, on my notes for this week, I wrote down the best six-man school in Coke County is going to be taking on the best six-man school in Tom Green County, so it's going to be a good one. This is not our typical six-man game. This is more of a running six-man game, but last week, very best did beat Zephyr. Zephyr beat Bront by 45 week 1, but I think that Bront has added some key players into the mix, so expect something a little more, or I guess a little less lopsided than their game against Zephyr.
All right, there are two fantastic players in this one. You got Cole Knight at Bront. You got Bryce Martin in Very Best. Who do you think has the edge here? Because at six-man, one player can really make a difference.
Well, I've seen Cole play, so I may have to give it to him. But on the other side, the kid from Very Best has 8 carries for 4 touchdowns this year or something like that. So, I mean, crazy numbers back and forth. I do expect this game to go all the way until the end, so I guess that could give a little nod towards Bront. I don't know. I guess you'll have to wait and see who I'm going to pick in this one.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, you're going back to me? Oh, hey, man, I think Very Best is a good school. I think Bront's a good school. I think they can make that, I think they can keep it close, but Very Best is in that monster district with Menard, Robert Lee, and Erie County, and all 4 of those teams could very well be representing that district in the playoffs.
Winner usually comes from winner from state. More than likely will come from the Concho Valley, or at least here in West Texas.
Yeah, and I know it's going to be a little bit rougher game for Bront, just knowing what Very Best did to Zephyr last week, but hey. Them Longhorns, they looks like they've added back a couple pieces, and it looks like they've taken that step forward. But Matt, go ahead and let us know where this game's at tonight.
Well, first they won 52-0 last week, so I'll give them a little bit of props for that one. This game's going to be at 7:30 tonight in Very Best, and of course this is just a little bit of our picks, but we're going to move into our next segment of the coach's interview. But of course, before we go to that, we can't move on without mentioning our next sponsor, and that would be the Pit Barbecue. Of course, tonight, everyone here at the Cover1 crew will be eating on some Pit Barbecue. 2 weeks ago, we had some pit pies. Last week, we had the pit tater. That's right. That's the spud with the barbecue in it. But go ahead and go out there tonight. Skip out on the pizza and hamburgers from the stands. Gets you some real barbecue. That's not a sausage wrap. That'd be over there at the Pit Barbecue, 2330 Sherwood Way. Go see him, and make sure you tell Jesse that we sent you. Okay, guys, we're going to be moving into our coach's interview for the week. This week, we went out and got head coach of the Wall Hogs, Houston Guy, before the number 1 team in the Concho Valley right now. The Wall Hogs take on the Gymnet Indians. It's going to be a really good one, so make sure you stay tuned. But first, a quick message from Jim Bass, Cars and Trucks.
Save big on our great selection of trucks during our demo sale at Jim Bass Ford. Like the Ford F-150. With an available 360-degree camera package that helps you spot obstacles. And with Sync 4 technology, designed to listen and respond. And we're here to keep your F-150 at peak performance with expert service after the sale. It's time to drive a Ford F-150 XLT and get $11,000 in total savings. For this great offer, visit Jim Bass Ford today.
And welcome back to the show. It's time to for our coach's interview of the week. This week we went out to Wall to talk to head coach Houston Guy. So, Coach Guy, how's it going?
It's going really good. How you guys been doing?
Can't complain. It's football season,
right? Happy to be here, Coach.
Coach, let's get right into it. You're playing Gymnet this week. This is a big-time game for both programs. How do you think y'all stack up to them offensively and defensively?
I think they have a great program over there. Those guys are going to bring a lot to the table. They got a big offensive line. They got a big defensive line. They're going to try to own that line of scrimmage. it's going to be a big task for us just to stay on the field with these guys. We know how good of a program that they have. For us, we've got to play really good football. We know that the program that they have and the tradition that they have, and we're just going to try to play the best we can, and hopefully we can stay on the field and match talent for talent.
Yeah, one thing is, I think last year y'all didn't get a touchdown that y'all had, but it was 3-0. They were kind of beat up last year. What have you seen from them this year that makes them that you've had to maybe focus on and practice a little bit more, maybe stopping that running back over there? The quarterback's been playing pretty well as well.
Yeah, they're very physical. They're a very physical football team. Last year after our game, they came in and they made some wholesale changes offensively, and they became a lot better. They became a lot more explosive, and made a pretty good run. We made some changes also. We became a lot more explosive offensively also. So I think it's a game that they're going to show us some of our weaknesses. They're going to show us some areas where we're not that we have not been exploited yet, and we know that. We know there's some areas that are going to be they're going to kind of poke at that we're not real sure that are as strong as they need to be. And so I think it's a game that'll be a good test for our kids, a good test for our program. They're gonna challenge us in certain areas, and I think two of those areas are going to be our offense and defensive line. They are going to be very physical and strong up front in both those two areas, and so we've got to do a real good job. One, defensively, we got to run to the football, fill the gaps, and make sure that they don't get a lot of push defensively on our defensive front. And then offensively, we got to play good assignment technique on the perimeter. We got to make sure we secure the edge, make sure they get the perimeter blocked really well. And then we've got a chance to get that ball on the edge. We got to make sure we sustain those blocks.
All right. And Coach, of course, playing a team like Jim Ned every single year, y'all are very familiar with each other. And I know you say that Jim Ned has made some wholesale changes on the offense, but like you're the offensive guy. Like, how do you scheme for a rival like that knows what you're going to do and knows exactly what you bring to the table?
It's one of those things you try to kind of save some a little bit of tricks and not show them each week, and we'll bring out a wrinkle or two just for Jim Ned, and there's some things that they do that they attack certain ways that hopefully we can exploit some of their tendencies defensively. They show their hand every year with different ways that they attack us, and so it's kind of like a chess match. They make a move defensively and we make a move offensively, and so each year we kind of tweak a little bit, and then they readjust, and then we readjust to that adjustment. And so each year that we play, everybody kind of goes back to the drawing board the next week and kind of figures out what we're going to do the next year when we face off with each other. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We're all pretty familiar with what each other does, and so it's one of those things. There's not really a whole lot of tricks out there that you're going to fool them with, or that you're going to get them with. It's just a lot of little bitty things schematically where you can tweak some of your schemes just a little bit, where you might block it just a little bit differently and get the edge a little bit better.
And Coach, you've already said that your offensive and defensive lines are going to be absolutely key to victory this week, but specifically on the offensive line, some of those guys on that O-lines aren't as big as you've had in the past. Like I talked to Boone Harris yesterday, and that center, he's shorter than me. You know what I mean? Like, and I know he's very talented, but when you're scheming for Jim Ned, who has a really big defensive line, how important is pad level and securing those blocks?
Yeah, when we got guys like Boone, we talk about Boone is not a very big guy. He's got a huge heart. He's very competitive. He's very aggressive, and we can play with guys like that. We talk about all the time to our offensive line about playing below the table and playing with a low pad level. And Boone, with his height, he brings that to the table, and he brings that that toughness that we want in our offensive line. And so if you're a defensive lineman, you're going to already be at a disadvantage because some of those guys on our offensive line play very, very low and they play very, very aggressive. And so if you've been playing against past teams that are going to, pass set and they're going to zone block and they're going to stand up, you're going to be in for a long night when you play against our offensive line because they're going to get off the ball and they're going to get off the ball extremely low and be very physical when they do.
And Coach, let's move on to the defense. You haven't been on the show since two-a-days, but now we're about 2 weeks in, only giving up 20 points so far. How has your defense progressed from day one of two-a-days all the way to where we're at right now?
Now they're playing really well right now. They're very, very fast defensively. We're not real big, but they're very, very fast. It's one of those things. There was a little. I won't even say there's a learning curve. There's an area where they're not real big, but they're having to fill those gaps and fill those lanes with smaller bodies, but they're doing it really aggressively and really fast. And so I've been really pleased with how they progressed in this new the 3-3 stack. And so I like to see them play. They're playing really aggressive. And they're fun to watch. If you hadn't watched them, you guys need to come out and check them out.
Exactly, and of course with guys like Logan Thomas and Brylan White, what are those guys going to mean for you coming into tonight's ball game?
They're gonna have to play extremely aggressive. They're gonna have to be on the field a ton. They're gonna have to hold that line of scrimmage, anchor that thing down. With those guys on the end, they're gonna have to put pressure on the quarterback and still contain that running back and not get pushed off that line of scrimmage. They're gonna have to own that line of scrimmage and get pressure to push that line of scrimmage back into that backfield.
All right, Coach, and of course at Cover One, we always end with a final thought. We still got a little bit of the show left, but we'll kick it to you for your final thought before you meet Jim Ned tonight.
I think this game is going to be played out in the trenches. I think that the team that has the most success is going to be the team that owns both sides of that line of scrimmage.
All right, Coach. Well, we really appreciate you coming on the show, and good luck tonight.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right.
See you, Coach.
Sir.
Ew, that sounds gross.
Right now, get 15% off carpet cleaning from Carpet Tech.
All right, there is Coach Guy there for the Wall Hawks. Remember, that game kicks off tonight in Jim Ned at 7:30. Moving on, it's time for our Player of the Week. And before we announce the winner, of course, we want to let you know that Carpet Tech is a proud sponsor of Cover One Athletics, and this year brings you the Cover One Player of the Week. Carpet Tech is your local go-to carpet cleaner. Remember, if your home is in a wreck, call Carpet Tech at 325-999-5142. Guys, our player of the week this week is Edgar DeLuna from the Sonora Broncos. 17 carries, 256 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's just on offense. On defense, 14 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, an interception, and a forced fumble. Congratulations to you, Mr. DeLuna, and the whole entire Sonora community and the Bronco family. Now, here, let's kick it to James Bellini, who's down in Sonora with Edgar DeLuna.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Edgar DeLuna. He is our Week 3 Player of the Week. Edgar, how's it feel, man?
It feels great. I mean, this is my first time ever getting accomplishment like this, so thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Your play, obviously you deserved it. You had 256 yards, 4 touchdowns. What's going through your mind out there when you're, out there putting up those monster numbers, man?
Well, first of all, I got to thank the O-line. I mean, they do a great job. I mean, I at least had 100 yards of me just being untouched. So I just want to thank those guys. And then also for defensive stats, I mean, the D-line coaches tell them not to let O-line touch the D-line or the linebackers. So, I mean, we're running free out there and just flying to the ball. That's what we're doing. So it's a big deal, and the coaches do a great plan, and we execute pretty well.
Yeah, over your career, I bet you probably have 500 tackles. Last year you had over 200 tackles. Who do you give credit to for just being around the ball like that?
I don't know. It's just like a killer instinct, and I just got to thank the coaches that they get a good game plan every week. So.
All right, man. Obviously, y'all just broke out to state champs, man. What's the goal here? What's the goal for Sonora?
It's definitely a state championship. I mean, first we got to win the district championship, and then after that it's just win or go home. So we're trying to go as far as we can. And honestly, the goal is Jerry's World. So that's what we're trying to do.
All right. And what about you personally? What's your personal goal? Do you want to play football afterwards, or what? Are you worried about that at all right now, or what?
Right now, I'm currently worried about high school and just finishing and seeing how this goes. If I have a great season, maybe we'll carry on to maybe college ball or something like that. But right now, I'm worried about high school and trying to get a state championship.
All right. That's Edgar DeLuna, linebacker, running back extraordinaire here in Sonora.
Thank you.
Ew, that sounds gross.
Right now, get 15% off carpet cleaning from Carpet Tech.
All right, thank you, James. Thank you, Edgar. Of course, congratulations once again, Edgar DeLuna. Guys, if you think that your player is worth a player of the week, make sure you send us your stats and, of course, a good picture, and we will consider putting them for next week's Carpet Tech Player of the Week. And, of course, we can't move on without telling you the sponsor for our awards this year. Yours truly, engravings and awards. Every athlete has one thing, and that's their eye on the prize. At Yours Truly Engravings and Awards, they offer engravings, plaques, trophies, and more. This year, Yours Truly will provide awards for all of our COVER1 players and our winners, our Player of the Week winners, and of course the All-Star team at the end of the year. Go see the folks at Yours Truly today, 2438 Sherwood Way. That's right next to Papa John's. Moving on, we have another player interview to go to. We're not done out in Wall. Ryan Chadwick went out there and spoke with Boone Harris. That's going to be center for the Wall Hawks. Got a big week ahead of them, especially for the offensive line. So with that, we will go ahead and take it there.
All right, joining me now is Boone Harris, center for the Wall Hawks. Really the anchor of this offensive line. How are we feeling today, Boone?
Great, amazing.
Of course, we just finished another tough day at practice. It's pretty hot out here, but it's an exciting week. We're playing Jim Ned this week. Of course, it's one of y'all's rivals, and it's supposed to be a great game. Like, what do you expect out of the Jim Ned Indians this week?
I'm expecting a lot of tough players. Their line is definitely one of the best we're going to face all year. It's just going to be a really tough game.
Yep. And, I mean, as far as offensive linemen go, man, like me, we're not the biggest guys out there. So, how do you handle being one of the smaller guys going against some of these monster D linemen?
Yes, sir. A lot of it just comes down to the low man wins. Just the lower, the better. A lot of us are bear crawling out there or whatnot, getting underneath them, and that's what a lot of our line is, real small.
Yep. And of course, it comes back to the work you put in the offseason in the weight room. So is squat one of your best lifts?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's my favorite.
I love to hear that, man. And so this weekend, of course, on offense, y'all run a scheme where you really grind out the ball. Is there any particular part about y'all's offensive scheme that you just love?
I definitely love the triple option and the way it blocks at the veer.
And why is that?
It's just it's a real complicated thing to get done, but once you figure it out, it works really well for those 3-yard plays.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time after practice to do this with me. And again, this has been Boone Harris, center for the Wall Hawks.
Save big on our great selection of trucks during our demo sale at Jim Bass Ford. Like the Ford F-150. With an available 360-degree camera package that helps you spot obstacles. And with Sync 4 technology, designed to listen and respond. And we're here to keep your F-150 at peak performance with expert service after the sale. It's time to drive a Ford F-150 XLT and get $11,000 in total savings. For this great offer, visit Jim Bass Ford today.
All right, thank you, Ryan Chadwick, out there with Mr. Boone Harris. Now it's time to get into some of our picks. I know that you guys have been curious how the picks have been in the past couple weeks, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. Here it is. The pick standings through week 2. We got our stringer Scott Menchaca in the lead with 10-1. James Bellini over here tied with our scorekeeper Yantis Green and other stringer Ernesto Rodriguez at 9-3. Arlene Castillo, stringer right there, number 5, sitting by herself, 8-4. And then, of course, me, Ryan, and our other stringer, Lexi Dykes, is all tied for that 6th place spot with 7-5. James, I'm going to kick it to you first. Thoughts?
Thoughts on the picks? I should be number 1. I don't know why I picked what I picked last week, but I'm coming back hard this week. I think I'm going to go 6-0, obviously. I picked all the right teams.
And Chadwick, we're sitting in the bottom of this thing. What do we do to turn around?
I think I'm just one of those who have a lot of faith in my Concho Valley teams. So in order for me to go 6-0, I need y'all to win a little bit more, okay? So.
That's right. Blame it on the players. I'm in. All right, let's go ahead.
It's their fault.
Yeah, that's right. It's their fault. Let's go ahead and get into some of these picks. Chadwick, we will go ahead and start with you with the Central Bobcats.
I mean, I bet you can guess where I'm going this week, but of course, it's homecoming night. It's at home. It's a rivalry game. I think the Bobcats are going to come out with a lot of energy. Christian English continues to get better every week. This young defense continues to improve every week. We got the guys on the defensive line who are finally getting to the quarterback, knocking down balls, causing fumbles. We got the secondary, getting takeaways, and that's going to be the key in this game. And I think the Bobcats are going to win this one tonight, and I have them winning Central 28, Abilene Cooper 24.
All right, and then go ahead and tell us, can you see those picks right there? If you can go ahead. Look, you may be able to check on the screen. Maybe you'll be able to read that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's looking like our scorekeeper, Yantis, Lexi, and Scott Menchaca are with me in picking San Angelo Central, but we got, the Evil League of Evil over here, Trammell and James, picking Abilene Cooper along with our stringers Ernesto and Arlene.
All right, and let's go ahead and get into some more picks. James, we'll go to you.
All right, we're going to talk about Wall and Jim Ned.
No, Brady.
Oh, are we not?
Stick with your own score.
Oh, I thought we were. Sorry, I was on the wrong piece of paper. Brady and Comanche. Obviously, I think Brady is in for. I mean, Brady. It's a tough non-district schedule for Brady. I have if I can find the right piece of paper.
Sorry, James. I didn't mean to throw you for a loop.
No, it's all right. Brady. They're coming off their second game. This absolute gauntlet. First was Comanche, then Mason. Now you got Coleman. All three were deep playoff teams last year. And Brady could be without their linebacker, Johnny Menefield. He's our all-star, all-cover-1 linebacker last year. I think he kind of got dinged up in the game. He'll probably be okay, but you do want him for district. This game, I think, is going to be a lot closer. That first game Coleman played, it was like 29-20, and it was actually tied for till halftime, and that was against Mason. I think Brady's going to be a better team this week, and I have Brady winning this one. Where's it at? I'm all messed up over here. I have Coleman winning this one, 35, Brady 28.
All right, and then what about the rest of our guys? Maybe you could check out on this screen.
All right, Lexi, Trammell, and Arlene have gone the Brady Bulldogs in this one, and Yantis, me, Ernesto, Scott, and Ryan have all gone Coleman. And these picks, the picks aren't indicative of anything. This is just us having fun. I want to say that.
Now James is trying to backtrack and
I'm not
save
backtracking.
his own soul. Okay, moving on to our next game. I'm going to go ahead and take this one. It's not every week where you see Miles lose, so expect the Bulldogs to come back with some higher expectations than they had last week. Expect them to blow out. Of course, their senior quarterback, Haven Book, is really going to be the one that's going to make them shine. I'm thinking that it's going to be Miles 56, Water Valley 23. What do y'all think?
I would agree with that. I'm not going to lie. I have it a little bit closer, but I think Miles is also going to win this one.
Well, I think that's so because we got a whole line of people across the board, Miles Bulldogs, all the way.
It's just after you lose to a rival like that, I just feel like the Bulldogs are going to come out angry this week.
Yeah, I think so.
Haven had 300 yards and 4 touchdowns last week, and Devin Medina had 100 yards on the ground. They're, even though they lost, they're still putting up incredible numbers there in Miles, and I think I think you're right, Chadwick. I think they're going to be a little upset.
Yeah, expect the defense just to play a little bit better. All right, moving on, Chadwick, bouncing back to you. We got the Wall Jim Ned game. That's the one that everyone's been talking about. So
it's the one I tried to talk about.
Give me your pick.
Well, I'm going.
That's what James was.
I'm real defensive about this one.
I'm saying that these Wall Hawks this year, this is their year. They're winning, as many games as possible on their way all the way to Jerry World. I'm going to be a Wall homer the entire year this year. I just think this team is that good, and I also think that they're traveling to Tuscola tonight in Jim Ned. They're going to beat the Indians at home. And I have that score 14-12. So close game, good defensive battle. I have the Hawks winning. And then, of course, we have Yantis and James as the only ones who think that the Indians are actually going to pull this one out, which is an understandable position. Jim Ned is actually, is also really talented. But me, Lexi Trammell, Ernesto Scott, and Arlene are all rolling with the Hawks.
Hey, they're at home. Both these teams run the ball.
It's going to be a short game.
Yeah, no, it's probably going to be over by
the time our halftime shows right.
8:45 finish.
All right, James, going to you for your last game.
All right, Sonora, El Dorado. Sonora's obviously coming off the win, big-time win against Cahoma, who's a very talented program. But at the same time, El Dorado has a pretty good defense. They do have, I think they do have the defense that could contain DeLuna, but this Sonora team is just uber talented. I have Sonora winning this one, 42, El Dorado 36.
All right, what about everyone else?
Yantis and Trammell are the only two that went El Dorado. Everybody else went Sonora because we're right. But
okay. Well, I'm going to ride with El Dorado on this one. I'm feeling pretty confident about that one there. Moving into our last game of picks here, guys, do not sleep on the Bronx Longhorns like my buddies Ryan and James did. That's right. I picked the Bronx Longhorns winning this one 55-20. Guys, you think I have a chance to be right about this? Why are you guys hating on the Longhorns?
I'm not hating on the Longhorns. I'm just thinking that Very Best is going to represent Tom Green County very well, and I think that they're going to win this game.
I think that sophomore Bryce Martin is a heck of a player. Anytime you're 2 for 1 and you have 8 carries for 4 touchdowns, you're the guy.
Yeah, well, I still got my boys rocking over there in Coke County. So does Ernesto and Arlene. But then, of course, at the end, Yantis, Lexi, Ryan, and James, and also Scott, they went ahead and picked the Falcons to win this one. And, of course, if you looked at the standings earlier, you might want to roll with some of the guys who didn't pick
Me and you are tied. You just put me at the bottom because.
Hey, y'all are at
that's
the
bottom.
bottom.
The graciousness of making the graphic. I can put you last and I can put me third and it looks right. All right, moving on, guys. But before we do, here's one last message from Jim Bass Ford.
Save big on our great selection of trucks during our demo sale at Jim Bass Ford. Like the Ford F-150. With an available 360-degree camera package that helps you spot obstacles. And with Sync 4 technology, designed to listen and respond. And we're here to keep your F-150 at peak performance with expert service after the sale. It's time to drive a Ford F-150 XLT and get $11,000 in total savings. For this great offer, visit Jim Bass Ford today.
All right, so this is going to be our final thoughts here for Cover 1. I'm going to go ahead and start with Chadwick. Chadwick, what's your final thought?
My final thought goes out to the Lakeview Chiefs tonight, traveling to Vernon. Guys, it's going to be another power-running football team. Guevara says just do your jobs and you'll be fine. I definitely think that this is a Lakeview team that still needs some growth, but they've shown a lot of positive signs. They returned an interception for a touchdown last week. It took them a while at the beginning of the game, but the offense got rolling. I say good luck to the Lakeview Chiefs tonight. I think they're going to go out to Vernon and get a win.
James.
All right, I think the district that El Dorado's in with Wink, McCamey, and Sterling City, I think that district is wide open, and I'm really interested to see how these Eagles play along with the Eagles and Sterling City, how they play. That's what I'm really interested in.
All right, and then for my final thought, This week, I know my final thought was TLCA last week. I'm going to keep it rolling. I know they're the team that everybody's talking right now. Just lost their head coach 3 weeks into the season, but there's still plenty of promise there for TLCA. They won last week. They're in good hands with, of course, athletic director Kent Sherrill and everybody there at TLCA. But they play winners this week. Winners is 0-2. TLCA is 1-1. Expect TLCA to go get their second win of the season. Guys, anyone else have anything else before they want to go?
I think I'm good, Matt. I'm just glad football's back. Like I said, my weekend is chock full, and I also will be at that game tomorrow when Angelo State hosts the Colorado School of Mines. So stay tuned for more coverage on that. All
right, well, be looking for that and everything more. Of course, be looking for all the scores from tonight's game on SanangelOlive.com/scores on the Texas Bank scores page, excuse me. And then, of course, all the write-ups after the game from both me, or all three of us, me, James, and Ryan Chadwick. For all the Cover One crew and the stringers of Ernesto Rodriguez, Scott Manchaca, Lexi Dykes, Arlene Castillo, and our scorekeeper, Yantis Green. And, of course, for everyone here at San Angelo Live and the Cover One crew, we will see you guys at halftime.